Nigeria is a country where you virtually cannot avoid talking about the politics and politicking in this nation. Plus, in the middle of it, you're also concerned about the economic challenges that citizens are dealing with. And then on top of all that, perhaps, maybe arguably, the biggest conversation in this country today is about the coalition and how that has found a direct nexus with the 2027 general election cycle in this country. The people in the coalition, I mean, from top to bottom, have been very unequivocal about what the ultimate goal is. They say it is to unseat the APC government led by President Bola Tinubu going into the 2027 general election. But then there are those who have now described the opposition, the coalition in particular, as some sort of conglomerates of strange bedfellows who are only united by a common interest to remove a president they do not like, not because he's not performing. Of course, that's the argument from the APC, that's the argument from the presidency. However, there's also the PDP, for example, that has said that we are not going into any form of coalition. We are a strong party. We're going to get stronger going into the future and going into the election in 2027 in particular. And then you have other parties that are saying, look, we are going to determine where we tilt towards as we move ahead. And then there are groups that are also now saying we have ambition to be registered as political parties, and they're already in talks with INEC. However, the Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC, has also come out to say that, look, so far we have not registered any new political parties beyond the ones that had thrown their hats in the ring in 2023. So this is more like we are still scratching the surface. But then let's look at it from the standpoint of the state of our dear nation, Nigeria, this morning. I'm joined by Chief Uba Wike Chibunna. He's a senior member of the APC. He's a staunch supporter of President Bola Tinubu, the grassroots leader for the party and then for the president himself. But we're going to stretch it beyond his party to also talk about issues that touch on the lives of the everyday citizen. Chief, again, thank you for coming on the program this morning.
You're welcome.
Your party now has finally a national chairman from, well, the North Central. Can we finally say it is Uhuru in that regard?
Yes, it is settled.
Mm-hmm. Good. It's too early, I guess, to do an assessment of all of these because the man has even barely settled into office and all of that. But let's use this as a basis to talk about party leadership in Nigeria. We have seen virtually all the parties, including yours, of course, may have wranglings over where the national chairman should come from, how that the national chairman and the presidential candidate or the president cannot come from the same region, and things like that. And we have seen how that has even destroyed parties' chances going into a very crucial election cycle. What are we missing regarding party leadership in this country?
For my party, we do not have problems in succession. You saw how seamless we elected our new party chairman. I will not say appointed because the NEC has the power to elect a chairman. The NEC has the power of a convention.
Okay, to do that.
So he was elected. We do not have problem with party succession, the succession of the chairman. But other parties, because of the absence of internal democracy, that's why they are struggling to have the proper leadership put in place. The lack of internal democracy has been the bane of all the political parties except my party, and especially at the national level. At the subnationals, yes, there are things that need to be done, but for my party, we are okay.
We talk about internal democracy, but then we realize that there's a superstructure, which is Nigeria's democracy. Is it possible to strengthen the bond of democracy in this country if we miss it at that level of internal democracy within political parties?
It will, somehow affect, how the democratic process is run if internal democracy is absent in the way political parties, leadership emerges. That's why we say we are developing, democracy and we are evolving. And with time, all the proper, things will be put in place to ensure that internal democracy in political parties is maintained and sustained for the promotion and sustenance of democracy at the macro level.
And again, that's the interesting thing about democracy. One of the attributes, or if you like, components of it, is that you've got to have virile, very viable, robust, vibrant opposition. In Nigeria, there are people, including politicians like yourself, who say that we do not have opposition in this country. We just have people who are disgruntled. They jump on the other side of the ring and start to talk plenty. I mean, talk to us about how effective or otherwise opposition politics is in Nigeria.
I have said time and again here that a virile opposition is sine qua non to the sustenance of a democratic governance. But in Nigeria, there is absence of a virile opposition. What we have are people, slanderers, abusers, masquerading as opposition. People who are filled with hate and bile, who hate a particular person, as in this case now in Nigeria, the people that call themselves opposition politicians are those who hate the president, Mr. President Bola Tinubu. So there is nothing he does that is fine, they see to be good. No matter, even if he paints, or ties the streets of Nigeria with gold, they don't see it to be good, because they are embittered about his emergence. And those two that lost out of appointment are embittered because they lost out of appointment. So they now gang up themselves, the conspiracy of evil confederacy, to attack him. That is what we have. We don't have a virile opposition in Nigeria, irrespective of the nomenclature. It is not existing. Abusing people, abusing Mr. President, running down every program or policy he puts up without providing a credible alternative does not make you an opposition.
When we say credible alternative, I mean, I've heard politicians from both sides argue about this. Even when PDP was at the helms back in the day, at the national level, it was the same thing. The PDP would say, well, the ACN or the AC, as it then was, your party, was not putting up, was not proposing a better alternative to its own policies and things like that. We have seen people who have said that President Bola Tinubu, yes, took a very courageous move, or made that move when he removed fuel subsidy. However, the modus was faulty fundamentally, because he ought to have broken it into phases. But the president continues to insist that what he did at the point was him doing right by the nation. One would have thought the president would come out and say, yes, I accept the fact that that was a bit radical or rash. We could have done it in a bit, in a more friendly, adopted a more friendly approach to it, even though everybody at the point had agreed that fuel subsidy was an evil that had overstayed its welcome. So how much more credible alternative are we looking for? Nothing is perfect in this kind of broken world that we live in.
That they say, I am happy they accepted the fact that Mr. President was courageous and right in removing the fuel subsidy. And then what they are questioning is the modus operandi.
Right.
And Mr. President has told them time and again, at that time, it was very auspicious and expedient for him to remove it at that time. Nigeria would have collapsed. There was no money to fund fuel subsidy any longer. The money borrowed to fund fuel subsidy has been exhausted and expended. And remember, the Petroleum Industry Act removed fuel subsidy. So as at the time, though included in budget in June, but there was no money to sustain it. So do you want Mr. President to go and borrow money to pay for a subsidy?
Yeah, we're not still borrowing now.
What we are borrowing is infrastructure. The borrowings that so far made are tied to infrastructural development that will stimulate economic growth. Not to borrow to pay for a subsidy, not to borrow to defend the naira. No.
And we hear that we are saving much more now from subsidy. In fact, with this 712 billion naira, we're hearing is going to be pumped into some upgrades of airports, and overall the, if you like, elevation of the aviation industry will come from savings from fuel subsidy. But the opposition is quite frankly also challenging that, right? How do we have a system? This may look like more of a fantasy, but is it possible for us to have a system where at some point government's moves, government's actions and programs and initiatives are coming from a place of altruism as against being politically correct?
Mr. President, President Bola Tinubu and his administration are very altruistic. If not, he wouldn't take these, tough decisions that will create future for Nigeria. These people raising issues about the policies, the whatever, are angry because they were the ones that created this problem, feeding fat on our common patrimony. Now those areas have been blocked. They will not have access to such situations again to feed fat on our common patrimony. Now Mr. President is plowing the monies saved into the developmental projects for the betterment of Nigerians. We might not see it immediately, but it is coming and it is happening. Now, they had the opportunity to do what Mr. President is doing now. They failed to do this, they frittered the funds away, shared it among themselves and their cronies. That's why most of them are stupendously wealthy. Which work did they do to make themselves so wealthy like that? They feed far from government. So government have blocked those loopholes. They are not happy. That's why, now, look at the issue of the airport you mentioned. The reconstruction of Murtala Mohammed Airport Terminal 1 has been a recurring decimal over the years. The terminal was built for a particular to contain or handle a particular number of passengers. It has exceeded it. They built the terminal 2, but the apron was 40. It cannot contain the aircraft, big aircraft to park. Apron is where the aircraft park. It cannot contain them. Very faulty. Now this one, instead of every time refurbishment, let it be reconstructed. It's a total reconstruction of the airport to provide the needed facilities that are efficient and serviceable for the betterment of Nigerians and the traveling public, and it will generate employment. It will stimulate economic growth. They are raising issues about it. What have they provided as alternative? To keep always to begin to patch the places, and they keeps giving the contract to their cronies, keep patching the place, and they fritter away the money that would have been used to do a total reconstruction. If they were in power, you could imagine how much they would have budgeted, and you would have not seen the job done. We have seen it many times and over the years. Mr. President is not doing that part. That is why they are angry.
Former CBN governor, most times he's referred to as the embattled former CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, was called to answer questions over the way he ran that bank for 9 years, some people say a decade. Former Minister of Aviation under former, now late, blessed memory, Muhammadu Buhari, Hadi Sirika, was called to also answer questions. Yeah. As a matter of fact, former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Rashid Bawa, was also questioned by the DSS. Yeah. How do we explain to our viewers that nobody, at least under the government of President Bola Tinubu, has called these alleged subsidy thieves to account?
Like I said some time ago that I was here. When people cover their tracks very well, use fronts, it becomes difficult to pin the problem on them. Those people were very, very smart. They used fronts. Some have been caught. Some are still being investigated. Understand me? It is many, and some have been prosecuted, convicted, and imprisoned.
On account of failed subsidy?
Yes, it is an ongoing process. It has not ended. And if Mr. President goes now to bring out the report of, there was the one for Senator Bukola Saraki-led Senate Committee. He had a report that he submitted on fuel subsidy that triggered the investigation. They set up a committee set up by former President Jonathan. The reports are there, and I believe they are being looked into.
Are they there gathering dust?
Forget that. Government is a continuum. There are a lot of reports, at the disposal of governments. They handle things one at a time as the situation arises. When it gets to that time now and they begin to do, you see the opposition start crying, it is witch hunt, it is political witch hunt, it is this, it is that. But we will get there.
As of today, we understand that not only have we been borrowing again and again, but now the World Bank, we understand, is saying it will likely approve a $250 million again facility for Nigeria, and this runs into almost 400 billion naira, and they say it's for some sort of health initiatives and what have you. You have told us here severally on this program that, look, borrowing is not the problem. The concern should be how we put those monies into use, is the use judicious and things like that. I saw a post by a very staunch supporter of President Bola Tinubu on Facebook this morning saying that at the macro level, a lot is being done. The only problem is that at the micro level, people are yet to feel the impact. The president himself had said last year that it can be worse than this, that we have seen the worst already. This is 1 year and counting. Should we continue to look at our calendar
like I did say some time ago that at the micro level, at the subnational, the state governments
Right.
and the local governments are not doing enough to complement the effort of Mr. President. They are receiving humongous amounts of resources. What are they using the monies for? You don't see improvement in the lives of the, of the citizens at the state and the local government levels. Local government is the bedrock of community governance. Nothing is happening. Absolutely nothing. What are they doing with those money? The governors, some of the governors, most of the governors, most of them, are sitting on the funds of the local governments. They are not allowing them to have access to their funds to carry out, developmental projects at the grassroots level. They are making use of the monies. That is why at the micro level you don't see anything. You go to many states, all the money the governors are receiving, what are they doing with it? I should expect Nigeria to rise against their governors. Ask them questions on what they are deploying the resources they are receiving for. They are not putting it to use. That is where the problem lies. Mr. President is doing at the macro level. If the governors and the local government are performing at the micro level, there will not be any problem. But it is not happening. That's why Mr. President had to tell them, you are receiving plenty of money. What are you using it for? We are not seeing the effect on the lives of Nigerians. Nigeria should ask their governors questions.
Talking about asking questions, in August of last year, Nigerians did celebrate the Supreme Court judgments on local government autonomy. Maybe we should be asking questions around what are the bottlenecks in terms of being able to drive that judgment to a logical conclusion at the grassroots level. Just this week the president himself called on governors across this country to join him in driving development at the grassroots level. Is that call, is it clarion? Is it loud enough? What more should we be doing in addition to that judgment from the Supreme Court, a landmark judgment as it has been called? Add to it the call by the president. Now, was that call just a political statement, or should we do more in this regard?
It is not a political statement, my brother. We operate a federation. And the states, the subnationals, are independent of the federal government. So the funds are according to the federation account that are shared amongst the federating units, the states, as the case is now. They are at liberty to use it the way they like. Mr. President has no right to interfere in the way they dispense their funds. That is the problem. It's a constitutional issue. Now, the judgment of the Supreme Court, granting financial autonomy to the local governments, the governors have made it absolutely difficult for the local government chairman to open an account to receive their funds. They have made it absolutely difficult. And mind you, most of the local government chairmen, yes, we say they are democratically elected, yes, but they are tied to the proceedings of the governors. So they will not do any jack without what the governor says. If the local government chairman goes to, assemble signatories to open an account, as the CBN has requested from them, the governor will use their councillors to impeach them.
So even in the face of these, in light of these Supreme Court judgments, it's as if we are still not moved away from, we're still not out of the woods.
Generally, yes, but there are some exceptional cases. Some governors have given financial autonomy, granted financial autonomy to their local government.
Perhaps a few of them.
A few of them, yes. You look at what is happening in Lagos State. You see even local council development areas, putting up, carrying out, executing big, mighty, gigantic projects. Commissioning, where did they get the money? You go to some other states like that, you see what the local governments are doing. But majority of the governors have refused to allow the local government to breathe.
We keep saying that the people should hold their governors to account. This is a country where we are told that poverty has been weaponized, again, to the detriment of the people. So, you are a bourgeois chief. How can the people find a wherewithal to stand up to governors that are powerful? Governors in this country, in some cases, have been referred to as emperors. How do we deal with that?
They are powerful, but they are not more powerful than the people. If the security agents should be able to do their work, not allowing themselves to be used by the governors to oppress the people, you will see that the governors will sit up. When the people rise against them, they will sit up. But because most of the security agencies in the states, the governors use them, they are on their payroll. And then when there is that kind of demonstration, you see them coming to deal with the individuals. Besides, if people will rise and be civil, conduct themselves in a civil manner without being confrontational, I believe the message will be sent properly. And if people can speak out, people are not talking. You only criticize the federal government. When it gets to the turn of to criticize the governors and the local government chairmen, they keep mute. If people keep talking, everybody is talking, there will be a change.
All right, I think it's also that point where we switch gears on the program quickly. This morning, we're taking a quick break. When we return, we'll talk politics, especially as has to do with the coalition now that seems to be finding some measurable amounts of momentum. Is it a threat, really, to the ruling of Progressive Congress, and to what extent is that? We'll find out behind politics now, full throttle. Chief, again, this is your area of strength, at least as far as this discussion is concerned. So let's talk about because it would appear now we're trying to draw a distinction somehow between opposition and coalition. But at some point, as we get, inch closer to the election, maybe there will be a merger of both. But let's pay a bit more attention to the coalition. We're seeing people, some big names, influential politicians from different parties, including from yours, coming into this coalition. Before now, the APC, your party, had said, look, they are not threats to us. It's pretty much like it's going to be a walkover for us going to the election and all of that. But as it stands today, it will appear the music is changing and all that. From the polls we're feeling, this is likely going to be a more contentious electoral exercise than we had in 2023. What are your thoughts?
The election is going to be tough. But we win.
That's the APC.
APC will win, yes, we goes on to victory with a very wide margin, because the dynamics have changed. As I did say here some time ago that what worked for the other presidential candidates in the 2023 general election will not work for them this time around.
Why is that?
The Muslim ticket they used as a campaign tool, to poison the hearts of Nigerians against, the APC candidate, it's no longer effective. You can't talk about that again, because you have seen that President Tinubu is a detribalized Nigerian, is not a religious bigot. He believes Nigeria is a secular state, a multi-religious state, and everybody practices his religion. He has not taken any action against any religion or to promote one religion against the other. He has never done that. We have been practicing our religions freely. That's number one. Number two, the Christians who felt aggrieved and voted against Mr. President because of the Muslim ticket, we no longer do that now. Most of the protagonists of the antagonists of the Muslim ticket are in our party now, working for our party. So they have seen the light, and they like we say in Christianity, they are now born again. They have seen the light and are born again and working with our party. So the majority of the Christian voters will still vote for our party. Then number three, we have seen what is happening now with the coalition. They have made it a northern versus southern issue. That is just what is playing out.
That's the coalition.
Yes, it's a northern versus southern issue led by His Excellency El-Rufai and Atiku Abubakar and the others. They want to, truncate the 80 years rule of the South. Nigeria has an unwritten agreement that power should rotate between the North and the South before it is microzoned. 8 years in the North, 8 years in the South. Since the advent of this Fourth Republic. The North have had theirs. And President Buhari has served at his 8 years uninterrupted. Now it has gotten to the turn of the South. The South is having theirs in the person of President Amaechi. You do not want him to complete the 8 years. You want to truncate it using some pliable Southerners to say let them do the remaining 4 years. It is not practicable. I am from the Southeast. How can you from the Southeast want to do 4 years? The 9 South is their 8 years.
You're saying everybody should wait their turn.
Wait for your turn. How can you from the South want to do 1 term or 4 years? The 9 South is their 8 years. It is madness.
So you think that's parochial?
Absolutely. So it is selfish. You want to be called the president, one-time president of Nigeria. That's all. And you say you will use 4 years to fix the problem of Nigeria. You were the governor for 8 years. Did you fix the problem of your state? You did not. What did you do as a governor?
For context, we're talking about Peter Obi now.
I did not mention any name.
No, have you asked me to understand?
No, I didn't mention any name. Some were ministers. They served the government for 8 years as ministers. What did they do to transform the ministry that they superintended? So I advise every Southerner to queue and support President Bola Tinubu to complete his 8 years. That's the 8 years of the South. If he goes back to the North, they do the 8 years and they come back to the South, that will be my concern. That is how it is. Somebody cannot arrogate to himself the power to decide who becomes the president of Nigeria. Like you see the boastful statements of Malam El-Rufai. He put Tinubu in power. He would remove him. How did you put him in power? Because you are alignment with His Excellency Amaechi failed to many people plan to emerge as the president and vice presidential candidate of our party. It didn't work out. The Bola Tinubu defeated you people at the convention.
That was going into 2023
election. Then that was when he now turned that he's rallying around the governors of the North to support because he has seen the hand writing on the wall. Upon all the artificial bottlenecks they erected and artificial, stumbling block they erected for President Bola Tinubu, he dismantled all of them and defeated the others and won the election. Then you want to upstage the system using a pliable Satan or pliable Satanás to say let them do 1 term or 4 years. It is not going to work. It is selfishness and it is madness on the part of any politician from the South saying you want to come around, you will do 1 term.
Okay, let's be clear, Chief. I mean, in 2019, I should say, the same, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar ran against another Northerner in the person of late former President Buhari, and we didn't have a problem with that. In any case, they are not even saying the power should leave the South. Power should remain in the South. But Peter Obi is not the only person from the South who is interested in the presidency in 2027, for example. As to that, they are not saying the region cannot complete its 8 years. They are saying we do not want this particular individual in the person of.
It is born out of hatred. It's not born out of performance.
But what if the poll? Why don't you wait to take that to the polls? I mean, let's get it tested.
We are going to the polls. If you want to, you have no problem. Come and run. But you are not doing yourself good. Vice former President Atiku Abubakar has been a perennial presidential candidate from 1993. He ran against MK Abiola during the primaries of the SDP.
And lost the ticket.
He didn't get a ticket. From that time till now, he has always run for presidential, tickets. He has always emerged a candidate of the party. He will jump from one party to the other. He will see the most, decamped political, leader I've ever seen in the history of Nigeria. If he knows he will not get ticket, he will jump from here and go to the other one. He get ticket there, he run. It is not. Presidency is not someone's birthright. You must not be a president to serve Nigeria well. If the person that is on the seat is doing fine, he needs the support of every Nigerian. That is what we call patriotism.
That seems unrealistic, Chief, because it will appear we are expecting everybody to agree that President Bola Tinubu is doing right by the country.
No, he's doing right for the country. Yes, he's not a perfect man. He will not do everything 100%. But is he doing right? Yes. Is he performing? Yes. Has he touched those critical areas that people were running away from taking decisions to right the wrongs? Yes, he has touched them, and that is why they are angry.
This sounds like bringing morality into politics.
It is not morality. I am being factual and pragmatic. I am a politician. I am being factual and pragmatic. I must tell you how it is. You see people, let me now use the case of, because the most vociferous among the coalition is His Excellency Malam El-Rufai and Atiku Abubakar. They have held political positions in Nigeria. How did they perform? Malam El-Rufai was the governor of Kaduna State. How did he develop Kaduna State? Are you still hearing about abductions and killings and criminal banditry in Kaduna State? That was the 8 years he was in power. That was the sing song.
Are you saying Southern Kaduna is better without him?
Yes, the evidence is there. You are a journalist, the evidence is there. His Excellency Atiku Abubakar was the vice president that was in charge of National Economic Council and the privatization. That was when he brought in Malam El-Rufai to superintend the Bureau for Public Enterprises. Where are our government business enterprises that they sold? Are they performing? Are they performing? Is it not President Bola Tinubu that has approved pension for Nigeria Airways before Nigeria Airways staff? So we have not gotten to a campaign and the election. When we get there, we know what to do. Their records are there. Their records will speak for them.
The thing is, in Nigeria, the issues, I mean, campaigns have hardly been about issues. Do you see that become, I mean, do you see a shift from that norm going into this election? Because it has always been about personality. You throw stones at me, I throw woods at you and things like that.
That is what the coalition is doing, throwing stones, brick bats. They are not addressing issues. Ours, we have canvassed issues. We present our scorecard. Look at what we've done. From social and so time, look at what we've done, look at how we have performed. Judge us by what we have done, not by propaganda, vicious propaganda, as the case may be, poisoning the hearts of Nigeria not to see anything. Meanwhile, good things are happening.
Incidentally, last time you were here, you talked about moles in your party. There are two categories of people. There are those who have found the courage to resign and leave the party. Yes. They join the opposition or the coalition. Yeah. There are those, however, who have remained in the party, being nominal members, yet are still eating the party from the inside. Yeah. But you said you would have more respect for the former because at least they have the decency of leaving the party yes. And all of that. How much of damage do you see these ones on the inside doing to your party?
In Christianity, Jesus said in the Bible that the one's greatest enemies are persons of his household. One's brothers and sister relations are your greatest enemy. If your person is working against you, it is more lethal, it is more ferocious. But our party, I believe the new chairman will work towards that to ensure that those aggrieved party members who are sabotaging our party from within, something is done about it seriously. And Mr. President as well, I appeal to Mr. President, something should be done to bring about a good reward system for faithful party members. There are faithful party members who are very diligent, who are so committed to the party, who have worked seriously for the party and for Mr. President. Something should be done for them in terms of giving them good appointments. These are the people that will go to get the votes for Mr. President. Not some of the big names we hear about. Let there be good reward system. And some of the people too he has given appointment are working against his administration. So something should be done to weed those people out and bring in people that are very much committed to the party, dedicated and very patriotic to work for the party, for Mr. President, for his administration, and to deliver the goods.
It's very unlikely that President Tinubu would appoint people who are now working against him, as you have claimed, and he is naive about all of this. I mean, what's your sentiment in that regard?
I believe something is being done, it's being worked out to weed those people out of his government. But whether there are people in his government working against his government, there are.
All right, let's talk about some other people from your party. Well, they used to be in your party, but now they say they are the CPC bloc. Some say they are the AMPP bloc. In fact, they are even now saying that the person who will run with President Bola Tinubu in 2027 has got to be someone from the AMPP bloc. Are we just going to laugh over this and throw the bedsheet over ourselves and sleep, or are we going to say, let's address this issue before it becomes a problem?
Well, admitted there were tendencies that came together to form our party, the APC. Right. Yeah, the CPC bloc is with APC. The CPC bloc today is led by His Excellency Senator Omaru Tanko Amakora. They are with us. They are with the party. They are not going anywhere. Working hardly, seriously and assiduously for the party. The MPP bloc are with the party as well. The individuals that came up to say they want a VP given to the MPP bloc, well, it is their opinion. It is their opinion. Let me just leave it like it is their personal opinion. But our party is working assiduously, harmoniously to ensure that we deliver good governance to Nigerians.
All right, let's take another break, the very last one in the course of this discussion. Everyone, because this is quite broad to talk about, especially given that the 2027 election element is quite huge. But when we return, just for the victory lap of this conversation, we'll look at appointments by President Bola Tinubu. It's been 2 years. This is the third year going into his 4-year term. How have they fared? Is it the time to show the exit door to some of these ministers and other very vital aides. So, all right, thank you everyone for staying with us. Let's do a quick assessment of appointments by the president. That's Bola Tinubu. We know at the point he was 100 days in office, later he was first year in office, and then 2 years in office, and all of that. Of course, we've seen one or two ministers who have already exited this government. We've also seen a reshuffle, one minister being moved to another ministry, things like that. We've seen, of course, there's going to also be a replacement, hopefully very soon, for the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, who is not going to, who has moved on to become the national chairman of your party and all of that. What most governors do, in some cases, presidents, is that by, halfway into their administration, they kind of thank their ministers, relieve them of their positions, and then bring in new ideas. In your mind, do you think that should have happened already by now? Do you still think that should happen?
Mr. President is the person at the helm of affairs, and he knows when it is appropriate to inject fresh blood.
All right.
He has the power to hire and fire, and I believe he's going to, do something about the cabinet and other appointments as well. There are still many appointments that he has not made. He's going to make those appointments, and then in terms of the cabinet, I believe he's going to rejig the cabinet.
There are people genuinely, I've spoken to APC stalwarts of the record, and they say that there are people in your party, they're still there, committed, loyal, and all of that, but they are not very impressed because they've not been given appointments of any kind, whether at the federal or state level. There are those who thought, okay, I may not be expecting an appointment, but there must be a way to compensate me for the work I put in. Yes, some kind, contracts, recommendations, whatever it is, and things like that. Are those concerns, are those worries legitimate?
They are legitimate. There are many. I am one of the people. I should have been given an appointment by now, right? I have worked, and I have supported. There are many like that who are genuinely committed, working for the party, working for the government, defending the policies of government, propagating it, and working, defending and promoting the ideas of the party. There are many committed party members like that who are ready, who are exposed, who are qualified to hold any position, and who will, contribute meaningfully to the development of Nigeria if they are given the appointment. There are many of them. I believe Mr. President is going to do something about it. There are those who that do not want appointments, they want patronage in terms of other things. Mr. President did say some time ago when we had that conference at the
summit,
and when he said that not everybody will be given appointment,
right?
But there are things that have to be done to put smiles on everybody's face. So I believe he's working towards that.
We've seen cases in this country, a very lifetime within this Fourth Republic, where people who were, some persons were disgruntled enough to work against their party going into a general round of election like this. Assuming that was to happen, where some persons, maybe in their numbers, now realize that this government is not ready to compensate us and decide to work against your party, is that not a concern that that is palpable?
Like I said, that Mr. President is working to do something. We still have a year before the election proper.
Right.
Thank you. So between now and that time, something will be done. Mr. President is really going to do something. There must be cabinet reshufflement. There are other appointments that have not been made. There are other programs and policies Mr. President is bringing on board that will accommodate a lot of people. Those issues and concerns, I believe Mr. President will address them. I believe so.
As we wrap up now, there's the belief in some quarters that while many Nigerians will say that this government is doing next to nothing in terms of alleviating the suffering, the economic hardship of the people, it is also possible that the handlers of, those within the sphere of media for the presidency are not doing enough to spotlight, showcase, or highlight what exactly this government is doing across sectors. Is that your take on it?
I feel, yes, that the media handlers, especially the Ministry of Information and the National Orientation Agency, they are not doing much in propagating and promoting the activities and programs and activities of the government. Sink it to the nook and cranny. Let people see what the government is doing. Let people see what the government has done. Let people know and see what the government intends to do for them. That will give them a sense of belonging. They will appreciate the government better. But when the information is not properly and appropriately disseminated, the vicious propagandists will take over And what people will now buy into is what the visual propagandists tell them. So let not the information analyst, the Ministry of Information,
right,
they should do more. The Minister of Information should do more. To me, he's not doing more. He should do more to disseminate appropriate information, promote and propagate government policies and programs to Nigerians. Let them know what the government has done, what the government is doing, and what it intends to do for them. They will appreciate the government more.
All right, so I will leave that in front of the Ministry of Information under Mr. Mohammed Idris to continue to drive the policies, programs, and initiatives of this government under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. I'd like to say a big thank you to you, Chief Chibunna for coming on the program.
Thank you,
today. This is what we're leaving our first discussion. Coming up next, we'll be looking at the new policy now being introduced by the federal government, which it says is aimed at regulating labor relations in this country. Is quite a new curve. Some people say it's a learning curve for both labor and citizens, especially workers across this country.